So Carol Johnson would like to attempt to teach a high school algebra class online. So as her colleague, I would advise Mrs. Johnson to have a meeting with the students, which was her idea, which is a good one. I would advise her to split the meeting into 2 segments, and each meeting would have a distinct purpose of its own. I would think that the first segment of the meeting would be for the purpose of assessing the students' knowledge of navigating the online forum. While we tend to think of today's high school students as being very tech savvy with social media and other forms of use on the internet, it's a very specific way of navigating the internet when you're doing online coursework. So I think it would be important for her to even maybe via PowerPoint in that first segment of the meeting, maybe even have some parents there, but definitely the students, where you can walk them through the some of the things that need to be covered to just assess and be sure they know how to navigate the online forum. Some of those areas would be setting up their initial profile, establishing a username and password, making sure they understand how to put in their username and password to access their coursework, make sure they understand the format for submitting their work, and then make sure that they understand how, now that they are a part of an online class, how they would go about communicating with their classmates. This meeting, or this segment of the meeting, would conclude with issuing the students all that was just covered in that meeting, with all of those things that I just covered would need to be in writing, issued to all the students at the end of that segment of the meeting. The second segment of the meeting would also have its own unique purpose, and that purpose would be to address how the coursework is designed, how it's assigned, and how it's submitted. Once the students understand that, it would also be beneficial, due to the age of the students, them being high school, there would need to be some way through this online coursework that their time that they spend working on classwork, working on assignments, is logged in the computer itself. Therefore, this would be beneficial to all parties involved. It helps the teacher know that if a student's not doing well, let me go and see how much time they're actually spending on the coursework. It helps a parent if a teacher needs to contact, if Ms. Johnson needs to contact the parent and say, oh, your student really hasn't been spending a lot of time. They get on, they hurry through an assignment, and they get off. Maybe they're not reading required reading, and maybe they're not doing practice problems, and that could all be assessed via the logging in and seeing how much time they're spending. So it's beneficial to the teacher, the parents, and the students as well. Ms. Johnson may also need to include a discussion room for the students to confer with one another, kind of network together, help each other with problems, maybe tutor one another, maybe show each other how they solved a particular problem in their algebra work. Maybe not in this same discussion room, but maybe another discussion room would be helpful to parents to have, where they can communicate with the teacher, ask the questions of the teacher, also be able to track their students' academic progress. And those are some of the key points and highlights that I would think Mrs. Johnson would want to include in a meeting with prospective online algebra students. Thank you.